Here's hoping that like records. Later, dude. Let's hope this actually records properly. And without further ado, I think we shall just jump into this. Wallets are important. Being able to buy things is kind of nice. All right, we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 to get through to start. And then I imagine we may get 1 or 2 more as we're going on. So I'm just going to do these in the order that they were submitted. And I'm just going to click play and let them run through. And then we will dissect from there. So first one, we have... When the dark envelops us all from Solarium, which actually let me turn this off real quick. And without further ado, oh wait, hang on. All right, I knew I was gonna run into at least one technical difficulty. I had my audio down, so let's try this again real quick. There we go. That's better. Okay, that is definitely a start. I have a lot to say about this out the gate. For starters, over here, where you finally get the top end of the drums coming in, this needs to be a lot sooner. This is, what, almost 1:30 of... I don't think there's much. Yeah, it's kind of just 4 minutes of the same sound, which is like, it's definitely interesting. There's stuff going on here. And like, overall, I get where you're going with this. I just don't feel like it was very well fleshed out. Because like by the time I got up to here where the drums are introduced, I was kind of already mentally checked out of this. Yours is off screen on the side. I have the SoundCloud ones pulled up off to the side, and I'll drag them over as they come up. I just by a minute 30, like honestly, the song could start here and it wouldn't have made a difference for me. If anything, it would have been nice just to have the rest of the drums earlier. I also like I would just like to see this go somewhere else. Like it just holds the same direction for the entire song. And like I can literally click to any point and there's not anything new really going on. Which like as an art piece it's interesting. It's really cool. There's a lot of movement on the low end. Commercially, I wouldn't really consider this viable. I'm gonna be honest. I think there's definitely a potential here for this to be something cool. And like I said, it is like sonically interesting to listen to, at least for the first minute. But after that, it's just 3 minutes of the same thing over and over again. It'd be nice to hear some section changes, some switches. And then the other thing that I personally was thinking, I find this, especially it's something that's been so overused in pop culture, I find it to be very out of place. And I get that the track is probably themed around this. I think that there's a better execution for this if this is what you want to do. I don't know what that would be, but there is definitely... that's the only change we get for 4 minutes. So it doesn't... kind of a too little too late kind of moment. I don't want to just sit here and like rip this apart. Like I said, I like what it is, but yeah, like a Wilhelm scream would be good. Just something that's not one of the most overused anime pop culture references. You could pull something else from the show that people would recognize. That would be really cool. I think that's about all I have for this one right now, though, is before I could go any further into this, I would like to see a little bit more variation throughout the track, a little better execution on the idea. Sally, I know you personally. I know the music that you make, and I've heard you do things that are better. And I think you should take some of the stuff that you've been doing recently and some of the newer tools that you've gotten recently and try to implement that into this. Instead of kind of trying to continue forcing it this direction that it's going. But other than that, neat track. Thank you for submitting. On to the next one. Let me just like, whoop. We can go there now. We have, oh God, there's a whole list of people on this. Slashumi, Eric's, Blackhawk. I cannot pronounce whatever that one is. We're coming in, let's see, almost 6 minutes. This is gonna be a fun one. I can already tell. There it is. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stop it there. This was fucking cool. I always love when you get a group of artists on a track and it actually sounds consistent through most of it. I do have a couple points. The first one was over here. So this kick through here and kind of the general drum balance overall. Yeah, I think this can be revisited a little bit. I don't know why, but the boominess of this kick isn't quite sitting with me alongside what else is going on here. I think you could probably revisit your drum compression here. And kind of try to... It feels like the top of the kick and the bottom of the kick are very disjointed from each other right now, and it's not bad. But like as a nitpicky thing, I think that could probably be readdressed a little bit. What's up, Infinity? And then there's something through here I heard. Give me 1 second. I don't remember what this abbreviation stands for. So, oh yeah. I really like this drop. It feels a little thin. And I don't know if that's a loudness thing. It feels like things are skewed a little heavy towards the low end here. and kind of an overall theme across the track. It would be nice to hear stuff be a little, like, your high end come up a little bit to meet that low end. Like, if I just come over here and we're gonna ghetto this. But if I just come through here and bring this up, I don't know. Like, you've got so much more. I hope this is coming across the way I mean it, but like, there's a huge difference in what's going on with your top end, and like, I don't know why I'm stuttering. This is, sorry, it's been a while since I've been on a stream. I think just revisiting that balance and kind of trying to get the overall tonality of the track a little better through that section would be good. Especially because you're standing next to, like, you've got this gorgeous, pretty section over here. And after the drop, you've got all of these nice, like, pretty flourishy things. I would bring the drop up to match that. Because it feels like it switches songs as it is right now. Which is, I imagine, definitely not what you're going for. And then through here, where was it? It would be really cool to hear in my humble opinion, it feels a little thin through this section. It would be nice to hear a little more presence from your leads and stuff through here. Like, it's everything is very dry, and there's not really anything for the track to sit on top of, which compared to the beginning of your track, the ambience is missing. Like, this feels filled out. And then we come to this section, and I get what's going on here, but I feel like there's a little bit better way to execute this. And then through, this was the other thing I want to talk about. Like, you put these two sections next to each other, and you get to this part, and it's like, oh, okay. There's like a sigh of relief of like, there's width and things sound like they did in the beginning again. And it's just a little. Yeah, it would be cool to hear this match how wide and full the other parts sound, while still sticking true to this kind of minimalist idea. Through here, would like to hear the use of more transitional effects. This is, it just kind of like lurches to the next section of the song. Again, drum compression here, I would look at again, because I'm so stuttery today. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm a fan of different kicks on tracks when it's done well, and I don't necessarily feel like that's going on here. I would try to get something a little closer towards what's going on in the beginning, just for overall cohesion. The main goal of having multiple artists on a track is A, to showcase everybody's style, and B, if you can do it, to make something that is cohesive from start to finish across multiple people. And I think there's a couple things that could be changed here and there to do that. Drums being the main one. The next one through here. So, I am not personally a fan of the OTT on bust sound. I don't particularly like when an entire track is dispersed. I think it sounds messy and almost amateur. It's very dated. There's better methods, better tools, and better ways of doing things now, and I think that that should be looked at here. Because just drenching everything in a multi-band. Again, you've got something that feels completely different than the rest of the song here, and I don't think it's doing it in a good way. You're also kind of nuking out any of your low end here by doing this, and I think that that could definitely be readdressed. Also, super saws being an already pretty dynamically flat instrument, there's really no reason to be putting multibands on them unless you really like that sound, which seems to be what's going on here. But again, there's better ways to do that now than just slapping OTT on it and calling it good. Like that's not, it's not engaging anymore. It's been so overused. I think that remixing this drop would be a very, very good idea. And I think that it would make it much more interesting than it currently is. Like you can hear just everything kind of sounds like it's underwater. It's a little echoey. Like you can hear all the pre-ringing and like not personally a fan. Again, it's your art project. If you like it, by all means. And then the last like big thing I noticed was right here. And you really kind of feel the difference in tonality here when these two sections switch, but also this is just a really messy transition. I was not personally a fan of how these switched out. I think even just putting some effects and risers and swooshes through here would be better than what you currently have. And then as far as the outro goes, you're already pushing 6 minutes. I don't think there's any reason to let this go on this long. And that actually reminds me of something I wanted to touch in the beginning is I feel like this intro can develop a lot quicker. As it is now, it's kind of just pretty similar for almost a minute and a half. Not that it's bad. I just think that this could be readdressed. I do really like the outro melody, yeah. I think this could be readdressed and developed a little more and a little quicker. Like by the time I get to like here, I'm kind of over it. And I know that's very TikTok attention span of me, because this is an absolutely gorgeous section, but I just, like I said, you're already at 6 minutes. Like you can pick up the pace in certain spots and kind of keep things moving and interesting, as opposed to, what do you mean, 2 of yours? What do you mean? What? Oh, Muffin, are you on some of these? Sorry, I don't know everybody's Twitch and Discord name, so it's kind of hard to catch who's who, but I think that's all I have for that one. Overall, it's really pretty. I really like where it's going. And like I said, it's really cool when you can get 3 artists together and it still sounds pretty sonically cohesive across the whole track. But I do definitely think that there's just a couple things that could be addressed to bring it to a more release ready state. And then another thing I wanted to talk about also is, I mean, you can see it in the waveform. I know not everybody is a Loudness Wars enjoyer. This one definitely could stand to be brought up a little bit. I would assume it's probably unmastered right now, which is why it's like that. But if that is not something that was planned on being done, I would bring the track up just a little bit, because you have plenty of headroom to play with. Like you're not worried about clipping, and you can actually, yeah, this hasn't been mastered yet because you've still got transients and stuff that are out of control. So I would honestly like to hear this again once you guys do that. Unless you already have, in which case, again, I would revisit the mastering. Oh, no, go away. But other than that, that's all I got for that one. We are going to move on now to, I believe R's track is up next. So let's go ahead and pull that over. Thank you. And without further ado, I don't get to drop markers on this one, sad. I've got high expectations, buddy. Let's see how you did. I like the textures going on the sides here. That was cool. Well, as always, you are putting out good shit. Couple things. Through, what was it, right? That wasn't there. This job I really enjoyed. I think right here, I think this could probably be a little, this little transition out could be a little smoother. I think you could look into playing with something like a filter sweep or something here. Or even like going crazy and doing something like slowly ramping up bit crush or kind of slow fade to delay, almost like Endless Smile does. This could just be slightly smoother, and that's purely nitpicking. The other part, yeah. It sounds like whatever compressor you have on your overall grouping is kind of eating your drums a little bit. You're getting a lot of, like, that transient comes through really well. But I think you could definitely benefit from going a little bit bigger with the drums. Like, this is a really dramatic, really pretty track. And I think having a drum balance that matches that would be a really, really, really good idea. Also, I wanted to say, where is it? Through this section and like a couple others, all the jazz chord changes are really fucking cool. That was really good. And then I would not mind, where was it? I'm gonna hold off on saying that one actually. And then through here are my beloved. What a fucking chord stack, my friend. I think it's no secret I'm not the biggest fan of OTTing the shit out of things, but in this case, I feel like it actually really works really well. I would look into potentially adding a layer underneath that isn't completely dispersed out to bring some of your mid presence back. But that's, again, we're getting into like nitpick details here. And through here again, I think you've got this, where is it? You got this section where you've got your, like, the drums are doing what they should be doing through this. Through here, again, same critique. I think you can lean into your drums a little more and maybe look at how they're interacting with your master, because it does sound like they're taking a hit from some of the processing that makes other things sound cool. You can either run your drums around that processing, which I would suggest, or just mix them into what you already have going on and try to bring them out a little bit. But other than that, that's about all I have for this. This was really pretty. You don't miss. The hardcore section at the end here was really cool. That was a cool switch. Only critique. Nah, not even. I'm not even gonna say that. Job well done, bud. Job well done. Let me look at my list and see what's up next. Oh shit! Last minute feedback, or last minute submission from OSHA, also known as War, and a personal friend of mine. We'll drop that in. Up next, after AUR, we have, looks like Infinity Europe on the chopping block, which is right here. Ooh, and we got a Stay remix. Okay, I'm excited for that.
Looking up at the skyline, all the places and times that you were there.
Are there? There shouldn't be. No, that's just... Oh my god, I'm such an idiot. I'm so stupid. I'm so sorry. I didn't mute that when I dropped it in. I was very confused too. I was like, this is an interesting approach. Alright, we're on track now. That would explain the drums not coming through. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. I was sitting there, I was like, this is cool, but like, I don't see how this is a Stay remix. Okay. Did you? You went down a BPM, didn't you? Feels a little slower, which is cool. I like it.
Why did you leave me?
That lead was nice. It was like just the right choice to break that up.
The Lord is good to those who wait for him.
Okay. That's
To the
cool.
soul who seeks him. It is good that one should wait quietly
Actually.
for the salvation of the Lord.
I'd stop that there. That was fucking sick. Couple things. First off, this is this very cubey waveform you got here. This track actually feels, at least in terms of perception. I don't know how to explain this, but there's a large volume difference between a lot of your elements, which makes for some cool back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Hey, Misfit. But I think that you could, at least at the mix level, maybe go in and try to bring things a little bit closer to each other. I know that that's going to be a little harder to balance stuff when you do that, but you actually, here, I'll go talk on this section too. You see it really well here. The difference between what's going on in your vocal volume, it just feels like a lot of attention wasn't necessarily paid to making sure that everything was kind of around the same target level. It definitely feels like a clipper master, which actually I wanted to touch on through here too. Yeah, you can hear through here, you can hear your drums interacting differently with the clipper each time it hits, which I find to be a little messy. It does make for some, like, it's interesting because it develops differently across your 4 or 8 bars or whatever you're doing, but it takes away from the overall final polish sound, I think. So getting your transients under control before slamming them into the clipper might be a good play here. Like, even through here, you can see, like, you've got some peaks going through a lot of sections of the track that aren't clipped, that aren't necessarily leveled well. I think that you can just bridge that gap a little bit between the sounds that you have going. Also through here, I'm going to make the same critique. I think that this would sound a little bit better with more high end, which is going to be a side effect of slamming things into clippers. You're going to have a lot of high end transients that are going to peak real hard, get cut real early, and you're going to be left with a lot of low end. But if you come through and you kind of rebalance that, like, that last little bit of high end really does wonders for clarity and presence, and like even through the drops, it brings your basses to life a little bit more. It sits a little more with your chords. You get some more flourish out of your drums. That should probably be done at the mix level, not the master level. I would just go back over your balance for some things. Especially like these bigger sections, yeah, it's night and day difference. This sounds a little bit muffled. This, you have this big, open, airy sound going on. So I think that can be readdressed. And then through here, kind of tying into the, I feel like this is maybe mixed, and it doesn't seem like you've used a whole lot of compression across the track. There's a lot of really different dynamics going on here that make it sound almost a little bit messy. Like, the drums sound great, but the dynamics of everything else around it don't match. You can hear that guitar's buried. It's really fighting to come through. Again, your vocals buried to the back. The drum mix through here is arguably spot on. I just think that everything else can be brought up to that same par too. And then through here, I feel like this could develop a little differently. Where was it? Yeah, by the time I'm getting to the second half of this, and this, again, this is a small nitpick, because I know you're going for an 8-bar thing here, but like right here, I would bring, like, it could be as simple as adding a reverb layer, adding a delay layer, but something in the high range that's different than what you have going through these 4 bars, especially because you don't have a vocal guiding you here. I think that would make this 4 bars a little bit more interesting and give you a little bit more to hold on to before you get to the next section. But again, that's a small critique. And then same thing through here. Actually, no, it was just for that section. Like, I don't know, I feel like it just kind of starts to drag a little bit through here. And I don't think that's honestly the composition's fault. I think that's more, again, just, you hear it over and over again, mix needs work, mix needs work, mix needs work. But I think that a more interesting mix down here would make this section have more staying power, because you would be able to listen to it 3, 4, 5 times and find something new each time. Whereas right now, all of those sounds are buried under the like 2 focal elements that are running. And then the last couple things, this drum fill here, you break your song's pacing for a second.
Why did you leave me?
Oh, maybe not. I might have heard something weird.
Why did you leave me?
Okay, ignore me on that one. I swear, the first time I listened to this, it sounded like it hit on an offbeat, but I might just be smoking crack.
Why did you leave me?
You do. Okay, so there is slightly too much space here, and it's because you've extended this to make this drum fill fit. I think instead of extending this space, you can cut the drum fill back a smidge, because that kick's gonna hit, and it's gonna hit hard. Like this site, like that drop in it is fantastic. But you're establishing a very 1, 2, 3, 4 through this section right here. Like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that caught my attention and kind of pulled me out of it and broke my immersion for a second. So I think taking a little bit out here and making that work would flow better. And then through here,
The soul is sincere.
it would
It is
an
good that one should wait
instrumental,
quietly
a voiceover outro.
for the salvation of the Lord.
Don't count there's so much delay between your voice and audio playback. I'm so sorry. I'm still kind of ironing out some of the bugs of the recording setup. It's been a minute since I've been on Streamlabs. Voiceovers are really cool when they're done really well. If I can't hear what they're saying, it's kind of just there as if it were a bass or any other instrument. And I think getting this clean and clear would have much more of the desired effect of what you're going for here. Whereas right now it's just kind of like there's a voiceover. I don't know what he's saying, but neat, cool. And with how long this stretch of intro or outro is right here, by the time you get to the voiceover, you're already kind of like, all right, the song's over, GG, go next. And then the voiceover comes in and it's like, ooh, interesting. Followed by like, I don't know what's going on. I can't hear it. So I'd look through that section as well and just get that to sit a little bit better. All in all, dope fucking remix. Very excited to hear the final version of that. And let me make sure I got my list right. Yeah, it's genuinely like really well executed. It's really interesting. It's intriguing. It's fun to listen to. It's really just mixed critiques that are holding you back from that next level that's going to take it from placing on a community release playlist and getting like a formal spot on the remix competition. In its current state, having heard some of the other remixes already, I don't feel like it's competitive compared to the other ones, but I don't think that there's anything difficult standing between you and achieving that. So very curious to see where you take that. Moving on, we are on to Ismail's track, which is going to be a bit of a vibe change if I know this guy. Orchestral producer that makes some really cool shit. I guess this is a remake.
We were young, wild souls chasing the sun all day. We were laughing to dusk without a single break. We were dancing till twilight, tiring ourselves out. When we got out of bed, we did it all in repeat. Now I'm just haunted by the ghosts of us.
Ooh, that was cool.
How I'm in pieces, all alone at home. Oh, come back to me. Time flew by, I don't know how to cope. Now I'm 25 and driving down the road. Memories cling like shadows, I just can't let go. Now I'm just alone trying to survive. Now I'm just haunted by the ghosts of us. How I'm in pieces, all alone at home. Oh, come back to me. Come back to
Okay, this is fucking cool. Ismail, you're on a great track here. Couple things. First off, vocal presence through here, and this is probably one I'm gonna nitpick on everybody for because I'm very stingy about vocals personally, but
twilight, tiring ourselves out. When we got out of bed,
I don't know how to
we
say
did
it, but the vocals feel really raw and unprocessed. Like I can tell that you've thrown reverb and you've done some stuff to it. Compression can definitely be readdressed, there's a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the initial hit of each of your vocal phrases is really nice. The body of the vocal is a bit out of control. Like you hear those nice enunciations, and then it kind of just does what it wants after that instead of staying sonically consistent. Or is that what I'm looking for? I don't know. There's a word there that I'm not remembering at the moment, but you've got your transients under control. I would just look at compressing the body of the vocal with something like an optical compressor or something with a slower attack. And I think that'll do wonders for Strange's voice. Another thing, I swear I heard some like yeah, there's just some lingering mouth noises. And you can hear if you have a de-esser on there, it is currently working on the wrong frequency. And it sounds like you do, or you have some form of de-essing, but I feel like it's in the wrong spot. And I would look back over that. Also, same kind of critique as the last track. I feel like overall instrument compression could be revisited if it's been visited at all. I know this looks like it's in a very early stage. But just getting your instruments up to volume, getting them leveled, getting them situated around your vocal, I think will make everything sound a lot better. Through your drop, and I know you're on my Ableton template, so I know what's going on here. Your mid basses are pushing into that clipper bus a little bit too hard, and I think you're compensating for lack of composition to fill out between 100 to 500 by just clipping the bass and letting it introduce harmonics in the upper end. And that definitely kind of shows. Also worth mentioning, on your mid bass, it sounds like you have some sub frequencies bleeding out of it. Actually, that might be on the choir. You hear it really prominently through here. And most of it's in the middle. It is a nice snare. Most of it's in the middle of the stereo space, so I would just revisit your EQs on your low end and your chord elements. Because as it is right now, your sub's kind of holding on for dear life. It's still coming through, but... and then for balance through here, it would be really nice to hear the top end of the tonal spectrum filled out a little more. I know I harp on brightness all the time. There's ways to do dark and moody, and dark and moody still has high end. So I would look at introducing, maybe you could do strings. I know you have some pretty cool string libraries. You could fuck around with ambience layers. That would be really neat. Take a time, reference some of Said the Skies tracks. I feel like he does a really good job of those kinds of drops. The like non-electronic, more natural, kind of spacier, vibier drops. I think you could use a couple of his as a reference, which I can't play it on stream, but I'll send you a reference track or two after this, because you and I work one-on-one a lot. And then, like Zim said, that your snare is really nice through here. I think that you could probably not be so scared of your kick. Like, hit me in the face with something. Make the sidechain do something. Like, give your sounds a reason to get out of the way for your drums. Like, your sidechain's good. Your actual drum composition is good. I think that you could definitely lean into a more dramatic implementation of what you currently have going on, and I think that would be really cool. But all in all, this is doing great so far. Pretty much just the fundamentals: compression, balance, EQing, revisit the fundamentals, and I think you'll have something really interesting here. And let me make sure I don't skip over somebody here. Okay, yes, Blast is next, which is a SoundCloud submission. So let's go ahead and get that up. And we have another Stay remix, which I have been loving listening to all of these, I'm not gonna lie. Very cool. Okay, I have to be careful with what I say here because I know SoundCloud fucks up songs, but... Okay, so through this drop, are you... This is a really stupid question. Are you dropping an EQ after you do your final compression? Because it sounds like everything sounds well made, but there's a lot of frequency bleed going on between things. And it honestly just sounds like there's some EQs that were forgotten. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are bleeding into each other, and with everything being kind of more leaning towards mono, I think that really becomes apparent once things don't have stereo separation to kind of give space for stuff like that. Would not mind hearing, like, you have these beautiful stereo sections. This one sound, it feels like there's just something in the mid-range that needs to be there to balance that out through that part. And again, just a couple messy EQs that need to be revisited, or maybe could be more intentional through there. Oh, this is good. Right here, I think there's a better way to execute this. I don't know exactly what it is right now. I'd have to like sit in front of the track and try things. But I think when this got to the end, I was expecting it to continue. And I think nipping that in the bud before it gets to that point, because you can see, I mean, you have a huge drop off here between content, which is fine. I love transitions like this that take everything away, but if you're going to take everything away, you need to signal that it's coming. Because like I just feel like I don't get enough of a heads up. I want to keep going here. This is good, give me the next section, and then it just drops me out and I'm like, whoa. So I think giving something that gives the listener the chance to anticipate that but continue enjoying what's currently going on would be good. So that you don't get hit with that. Oh, okay, we're doing something different now. I think that spot would benefit from that a lot. And then this DMV section was really nice. I really enjoyed that. Right here, what happened here? I can tell that you did some sort of gain staging here to try to bring something up for the next section. But it was that surge is a little weird, and I don't know if it's intentional. But I would take a look at that spot and see if you can't, if it is intentional, maybe make it a little bit smoother. Because as it is right now, it just sounds like an accident. Because it's just like, oh, okay, what was that? And then it goes back to normal. Gotcha. That was probably a handoff then. Through here, actually, what I was talking about earlier, I feel like is a really good example of the stereo placement that would have been nice to hear through here. Just in terms of like, it's one focal bass, but I hear it everywhere. And like I can latch onto the middle and I can follow it and it's really nice, or I can sit back and I can close my eyes and there's this like nice bed of sound to lay on almost. And with these both being in the same track, I think there's a little work that can be done here to bridge the gap between the two a little bit so that they're not so distinctly different. And they sound more kind of cohesively part of the same song. Through here, I'm gonna be controversial and I'm gonna say OTT is boring these days. I think there's definitely some more interesting processing that can be done with some of these basses, especially if the like color-esque aspects are the goal here. Hang on, let me get like light. It's getting dark in here. Yay, light. It would just be it's such a cool track, and it's always such a shame to hear 2018 style processing on modern setups, because yes, I know 9 times out of 10 it's intentional, but it doesn't particularly feel intentional. And I think that's kind of the thing that most people don't like about the classic OTT sound now, is just I've heard this too many times and it's not interesting or intriguing anymore. Like the composition is fantastic. Definitely getting a little intimate with the clipper here in some of these parts that could maybe be looked at, unless that's what you're going for. But yeah, I don't know about anybody else, but the OTT processing just feels like there's stuff missing like here in my frequency band or stereo space, and it feels like somebody slapped the mids onto the table and stabbed a knife through them, and then you've just got high end and sub. So bringing that a little bit more up to snuff, I think would be very helpful for y'all. But all in all, fantastic track. And again, I'm specifically looking for things to critique. So, oh shit, there we go. I was like, where did I put the notification? Thanks, Vortex. All in all, really good. And I am, like I said, gonna be a lot harsher on y'all because this is a feedback stream. So please don't take it as this sucks, rewrite everything. No, it's not on the master. It definitely sounds like it's within Serum itself. Serum's multiband sounds slightly different, but it is the exact same concept as OTT. It's just Xverse version. And again, there's just more sonically interesting ways to do it now, especially with Serum 2 having access to convolvers and shit now and all sorts of cool new tools. It feels like it would be a really good submission for the upcoming 2016 compilation we have, which is not an insult to this track. I just think that if you want to compete at a remix level, the tracks that are rivaling you guys, you may want to consider that. Because like, here, I'll throw myself on the chopping block for criticism here, but like, granted, I'm not actually competing, but there's been quite a few submissions lately, and like this is the kind of stuff that you guys are up against in terms of balance and tonality and like the whole OTT sound has just gotten kind of boring. And again, most of the remixes are on the caliber of that, of the processing is modern, the polish is there, these people are here to compete. And I think you guys should go into it with that same mentality. And I'm not trying to shit on you. I'm just trying to give you constructive feedback that you can use in the competition, knowing what I know without revealing too much. So take that as you will. But before I get stuck on one track for an hour and a half here, let's go ahead and I'll jump to the next one. Blast, if you have any other questions or you want me to go into anything, I'm more than happy to. Same with anybody else. You guys can find me afterwards and ask for me to elaborate on things. I don't mind at all. After Blacks. I saw... forgot like a letter in there. Hatebreed moment, which immediately I'm like, okay, what is this? We have this coming up from Ketamine. God, brain just glitched there for a second. Yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into it. I hate giving feedback because I have to say negative things from time to time, and it always feels really bad, so bear with me. Switching to acid. Oh, that's cool. That's it. That's all I get, huh? That's all you're gonna give me, really? Okay, there's not a lot to like focus on here because I've only got a minute 30 of track, but like, yeah, the acid section was really fucking cool. That was, damn, I was not expecting that. Main critique. I would love to hear you do something more with this idea through the first section of the drop here. This tear out gun is really cool. Let me turn this down a bit. I want to yell. I love how this sounds. By the time I got to this marker, I was like, all right, here we go. New section, new thing coming in. And it continued with this. Which I'm not saying like go nuts, make fucking tear out and be like standard traditional, this is the progression of a dubstep song. It would just be interesting to hear at least more supporting things brought in through here. And I can hear that you like developed it a little bit through here. Like the tonality of the bass changes a little bit. You could play, honestly, like, you don't even have to change the sounds themselves. Oh, thank you for the follow. You could do things like overlaying your drums, changing up patterns, switching the timings of the bass hits. I just feel like after almost 40 seconds of the same like dunk dunk da da dunk dunk dunk, it's kind of like, all right, I'm ready for something new. But I do really like the concept of the drop. It'd just be nice to hear it again. I keep saying it, but developed for. This was fucking cool. This is really neat. I think you can definitely stand to look at some of your basses and maybe go back through with a saturator or something and address, I don't know, sharpness isn't the right word that I'm looking for, but something that introduces more harmonics to the sound would be nice to give it a little bit more depth to listen to. Like this little acid lead right here. It would be like saturating this would bring up, and here, let me see if I can actually just get away with doing this. So I can at least demo what I'm talking about. Where are you? Come here. Give me this. Turn you to a saturator and like, okay, come down a bit. One sec. Like, even just doing that in a getaway, you can hear a little bit more character come out of your low end. And I think if you were to go through and do this on an individual basis and sit with it and make it intentional, you could really bring some life into this acid section. And that's about my only critique for that part. That's really cool. I love the acid switch. Thank you, Fleo. You guys are so nice. Oh my god. You're gonna make me cry. All in all though, that's really cool. I really like the direction you're going in with that. I think just a little bit more creative through here and general mix and polish. This definitely seems like something that's not finished, considering, again, I've only got a minute 30 of it, but something to keep in mind while you're working on it. Just a little more intentionality with your sounds so that it doesn't feel like they were just kind of thrown in there. It feels like they were shaped and crafted to be in that spot. I think would really give this a lot of character. But all in all, neat fucking track. And again, disclaimer, I do have, like, I am intentionally looking for things, so please don't take this as like, oh, your track shit. It's just, if I have to nitpick things, these are the things that I would point out. Because even as it is now, it's a cool track. Let's see. After that, we are moving on to arguably the greatest album art of all time. Love that. I am not going to try to pronounce either of these because I'm going to make a fool of myself, and I'm not that literate. So let's just hit play. Oh, this is for tonality too. Hell yeah. they're doing a comp right now. Okay, I'm gonna just get it out of my head now because it's all I can think about at the moment, and I can't focus on anything else. If you're gonna commit to hardstyle, commit to hardstyle. Give me like a dirt nasty, like clicky clip shit. Like give me a proper hardstyle kick. Like a Darren Styles is like the first thing that comes to mind, the way he does his kicks with that just real heavy transient layer in there and really make your kick stand out from that low end. Because that is right now they kind of hit the same. So like there's a kick there and there's a bass there, but they're not different enough from each other in my opinion. And I really think that just a transient layer in the kick would probably solve that. Like if there was a, you get what I'm saying. I'm not gonna focus on it too long, but ooh, that was cool.
Gaming floor at Sydney's Crown Casino finally opened to gamblers tonight. Minimum bets are $20. There's not a poker machine inside. It's member access only.
True, yeah, it could be.
And a minute past midnight and 18 months late, Crown Casino finally opened. Not that we can show you. Let's fucking go!
Okay, right here, because that threw me off. The amount of energy that you just generated here with that let's fucking go into... Actually, I was going to talk about this. I have the opposite complaint about this kick. I like the transients there. I would like just a smidgen of bonk. Especially with such an up-down track and a lot of stuff being mono-focused. Just having that bonk there really keeps us going. And like the energy switch from this, you've got that really nice snare transient.
Let's fucking go!
And then that didn't hit for me. And it's purely because of that kick. But I see what you're going for here, and I think you should stick to that. Just find a way to implement it a little bit better. Like right here, that is, I'm sorry, I keep pausing this one. But it's like too loud to actually talk over. This is, in my opinion, what I wanted from these other two drops. I think that there's a nice balance going on there between kick and your bass line that I think you should use as your reference point for how you balance the other two. There's just enough click there that makes me start kind of moving my head again. Other critique, and I know I've talked about it a lot this stream, it's 2026. If you want to be competitive in 2026, there's processing standards you need to meet. It would be cool to hear this a little less mono and play, like hear you, even if it's just using chorus effects or spreading your basses out just a little bit on the stereo space, I think it would do wonders for how this sounds. I know that this genre, oh yeah, it does have a Gabber tag. Okay. I know that this genre is this way. I think if you want to be interesting and creative in it, that would be a neat take on it, especially since you're replicating a style in this. Like through here, this is all just right here in the front of my head, and it's like, okay. It's not until like right here we start getting any stereo information back, and I think there's stuff you can do here, even if it's just playing with your drums and adding like non-vocal layers through here. Like this little hi-hat, for example, you can fling to the sides or do some interesting panning with, but other than that, that's about my only critique. I love hardstyle. It's so messy, and there's no real right way to do it. So it's all very subjective, but that was definitely really cool. I think once you're done with this, you'll have a very, very neat track on your hands that'll be fun for people like me that enjoy schizophrenic music. Will be big fans of. But that's about all I have for that one. It's not a genre I typically interact with a lot, so I don't want to comment on it too much and steer you in the wrong direction. You're obviously going to be more experienced with it than I am. I tend to stick to more melodic stuff, so I don't want to give you bad advice. So we'll stop that one there. I'd like to know what you think about the sound quality, sound design, mixing, and the flow. Okay. We have a cute little 30-second snippet here, which let's jump into. You didn't even give me the whole drop. You're a menace. First off, something I've noticed across both your submissions that you've sent in for demos and stuff, and just kind of paying attention to you as an artist, you definitely get intimate with your clipper, my friend. Which is fine. I mean, it's a style. I do it. All of my music's clipped to shit. It's very much so an artistic decision, so I get it. That being said, it feels like your low end's overbalanced and a lot of it's getting eaten by said clipper. Like, yeah, you've got a lot of high frequencies that are masking things right now. It's very, very, very dense up there. And your sub's starting to break down from how hard it's being driven into the clipper. You can hear it like squaring off. And let me see if I can trick mini meters into like showing me the waveform for this. Yeah, your sub is definitely struggling to stay alive here. So I think backing that off of your clipper a little bit will give you a much cleaner sounding sub. Which if you're gonna do clip to shit mixes, the key to a good clipped mix is having things that aren't clipped. Because it establishes the clipping as an artistic decision as opposed to an accident. Which in this case, it feels accidental because of how messy the other important elements have become because of that clipper introduction. And with how mangled everything it is, it's kind of hard for me to give feedback on anything else, knowing that everything is suffering because of that decision. So I And I can actually hang on. As from one clip to shitter to another, typically the way that I do it to avoid this, not that this is bad by any means, it's very cool. This is a really neat track. I typically will run through a couple stages of compression before getting to my clipper, so that there are things that are already under control where they need to be, and I let a couple peaks and specific sounds kind of come through a little bit through that compression chain, and then on the tail end I go in, I nip them off with which, if you actually, for all of you, if none of you have ever heard of this plugin, fantastic mastering clipper. It is designed specifically for this use case. Really soft, really nice algorithm. I really like what this does to tracks. So definitely worth giving it a look. It's free, so there's no harm in playing with it. But I'll get everything under control. I'll nudge it into a clipper to introduce that warmth and fuzziness and that, like, I know the tear out guys really love it, just that like crunchy sound. And then I'll run into a slow limiter to keep, and then I actually have behind all of this all routes to here, and then I have another clipper behind that to catch the things that I let through that limiter. I think just more intentional staging with how you do it, you would see some benefit from. But other than that, like, composition, this is really interesting. That lead's a little too loud. You're losing a lot of your basses in this noise. Like, that little growl there is almost the key to bass music is the push and pull of energy. The build and release and build and release and build and release. And like, yeah, even on my spectrogram here, you can see your stub is hitting at 0, which is not conducive or healthy for what you're trying to achieve here. So general rebalancing before clipping would be a good idea. Other than that, though, sweet idea. And I don't think I have much else to say about that one. Low ends, clean up, get your EQs dialed in so you don't have as many frequencies bleeding, and try to find a way to bring that high end down, because it is definitely a bit intense compared to everything else, and I think your track is suffering because of it. Which is all I have for that one. And oh good, I get to rip my boyfriend to pieces now. All right, he's very proud of this one because he says it's very loud, and we'll see if he gets the same clipper feedback here. Oh, let me switch that. And being that this is at -3, apparently, I'm going to just go ahead and preemptively turn that down.
Into the moonlight with a look in our eyes, we were both so full of love. I held tight, yeah, I swear I held tight. Tell me, was it not enough? Can we hit rewind? Baby, one more
Is that a stereo sub?
time we cross that line and bring us back to life, back to life. Can we hit rewind? Baby, one more time. Cross that line and bring us back to life, back to life. Bring us back to life, back to life.
Interesting. First thing I notice, the reverb on your vocal is doing very interesting things with your mastering compressor. And you may want to drop, it's enhancing the shit out of all of the reverbs and everything that you have, because I know you've been chasing loudness on this track, and this is just a side effect of that. I feel like this is a really dynamically interesting track, but if you're going to try to go this loud with it, you need to reintroduce those perceived dynamics. It feels very...
Into the moonlight with a look in our eyes. We were both so full of love. I held tight, yeah, I swear I held tight. Tell me, was it not enough? Can we everyone?
Also, stereo sub is crazy. I can tell you've been watching AU5's YouTube videos lately. Yeah, I'd look at that vocal. It's the reverb's doing some interesting things, as are the reverbs across everything. I know you're like me. You use spectral compression for your mastering. This is one of the side effects of that. So I think either bringing the mix down on IDX, or I think you're using a Nina now, if I remember off the top of my head. And then with how hard you are driving everything here, you are taking away from some of the character of the sounds a little bit.
Into the moonlight with a look in our
Like in particular, that vocal, like Misfit said in the chat, actually, everything's coming through extremely saturated. And I think backing off of that just a little bit to let things breathe would benefit a lot. I think -6 would be a good target for something like this. But I think going as far as you have with it on this journey of I want to be really loud, I think you're starting to get to the point of diminishing returns, and backing off of that a little bit and finding that sweet spot would be the next step for this. As far as composition goes,
into the
I mean, you don't miss. Everything you make is good.
we were both so full of love.
And I'm biased because I'm like one of your biggest fans. But everything's there. It's just mixing decisions that I question. Which of course is, you can bug me about later because I'm sure I'll get a text message from you. All in all, neat. I like it. I would stop getting sucked into that rabbit hole of I want to be as loud as fucking possible that so many people get dragged into. And actually, this goes for everybody that I've given that feedback to. There's a difference between going loud for the sake of going loud and going loud for the sake of intentionality. And I feel like for most of these, it's that for the sake of intentionality that gets lost in translation, which is what makes it feel messy. So just being more decisive about what you clip, what you push to that loudness, letting things have volume differences. Because you can have a clip to shit, compressed to shit track, but you need to then go in and intentionally add dynamics to it. Otherwise, you just get the cube, which we have a lot of cubes. Mini square. The circle goes in the square hole. Can you tell we're what, 2 hours into this now? Hour and a half? And my brain's like starting to lag behind a little bit. Let's see, looking at the queue. Yeah, okay, looking at your message. Yeah, you're hitting -1 in your drop according to, I think you use LUF meter. And with anything you push that loud, you're gonna lose character. So just be careful with that. Make sure that it's really what you want for that track. Because knowing how you produce, I don't think that's necessarily what you're going for. Oh god, which one do I have? I don't have the right version for this one. Give me 1 second. Is this the one that we already looked at? Oh, we might have an updated version of this one that I accidentally glossed over. Let me see. Okay, no, this is something different. So we have Vax up again. I think this is your second appearance. Is Vax in here right now? Don't think so. Tragic. We'll just click play then, and they can watch the recording later. Yeah, again, same feedback for this one. Let me make sure I didn't like miss anything. Oh, that's cool. Hang on. Yeah, pretty much same criticism as last time. Some more interesting development through the drops would be nice. Really questioning if the clipped approach is the way to go with this. And if you are going to do it, making sure to go in and adjust the things that the clipper does. Like you can clip something at the master level and then go back into the mix and intentionally mix into your clipper. And it just doesn't feel like that was done here. It feels like it got slapped on the master, everything got turned up, and it's like, yeah, let's go. I think there's more interesting ways to do that. It's the same argument that I have with OTT of like, this is a sound that people have already done, they've already explored, and there's only so many ways that you can do that one method. And there are interesting methods that haven't been used as much, and I would lean more towards those than just the put it on and call it good approach. Again, getting into just being more intentional with it. If you want, I'm really bad about producing at redline. We can go back into my rack here. The first thing I have here is I take the entire track down by 10 dB, and then I go into mastering, and I sit there and I intentionally balance things into my clippers and limiters. And I think you would also benefit from doing that. Which for the rest of you, if you're ever running into problems with loudness at the mastering stage, genuinely just slap a 10 dB gain reduction on it, and then do your mastering, do your processing at a quieter level, so that you can hear what's happening, so that you're not redlining through plugins that's going to cause artifacting and distortion and things to break down. And get your mix polished and then make it loud, as opposed to the other way around. Because once you make something loud, if you haven't already done the required steps before that, there's no real way to fix it except to go back to the beginning and try again. So again, just more consciousness about that, and kind of learning to have that relationship with your tools, I think would be very, very beneficial in your case. And I think that you would be able to do this style much more effectively by taking that approach. But I'm spending too much time on one track, so I'm gonna go ahead and move to the next one, which is, oh, we have a misfit track. We get to rip the boss apart. This is gonna be fun. Oh, and I did the thing again. Hang on. Let me grab you. Damari, how mean do you want me to be? Because I know you like my more aggressive criticism. Very? Okay. We'll break the markers out for this one. actually don't hate that it is. I'll touch on that in a minute. Okay, there's a lot to dissect here actually. For starters, you heard it while we were listening, but that high-end shelf really does wonders for bringing clarity in your room out, which is something I see a lot of people miss, honestly. Especially, I know you're mixing on Bayers, and I know that people on Bayers mix scared of that high-end balance. And just don't be so scared of it. If your headphones are properly powered, it's really not that bad. And most other listening devices... Oh god, I'm like choking on something. Hold on. Got a deviated septum, so every once in a while, like, the back of my throat gets weird. And I've been talking for 2 hours straight, and I don't normally speak this much. Don't be scared to overbalance your highs a little bit more. On regards to, you mentioned you're already calling yourself out and saying that your sub's messing with your limiter. If you're running into that situation, or really ever running into a situation where things are causing compressor surge or causing almost like a tilt shelving from your compressor engaging, get your settings set up, bring the volume of everything down, and then mix into your limiter, mix into your compressor. Don't just throw it on and be like, well, fuck, now it's kind of going up and down, and I don't know how to fix the surge. Just take a step back, bring things back down, mix into your chains. A lot of you guys are already going to know what most of your plugins sound like. You're going to know what they're doing. You have a style of way that you like to do things. Set that up and then build your track into it. Yeah, but that's a good point. You taught me that, but take your own advice. Do that, really, because like your sub's getting all the way up to like -3 here. There's a reason I shoot for -6 as a target level, which I'm not saying that every track needs to be -6 sub. Do it situationally, do what's proper for the track. Use your ears. My baseline target of I'm making a loud song with a loud sub is -6 or like -8. I shoot for a lower level so that I can get my mix and my master really clean. Sorry, I'm like choking on my own like existence right now. And then you can then go up louder later. You can always go louder, but it's really hard to bring stuff back after the fact. Less is more. Simplify your process, make it easier, and you'll be able to avoid that pitfall. Which I think And then I think this is honestly a good example of what I was talking about a minute ago of the intentionality with clippers. Like there's definitely stuff through this track that's clipped, but it doesn't devalue the track. And I think that's a good takeaway of like things being clipped, but not everything is clipped. Is the sweet spot, and I think that's done well through here. You already touched on compression, so we'll dealing about that one. I'm gonna give you the same comment I gave Vorum. I feel like you chased loudness here a little bit, and I think the things that are getting buried kind of demonstrate that. Like through here, like there's very faintly. I don't know why I keep soloing this. I'm so used to doing that. You hear that little guitar run, but with how hard everything else is driven and how things are currently balanced, you're losing stuff to your mix, and I think that can be revisited and reapproached. It's over here. I had something I was going to talk about here, but clearly it wasn't that important. Right. Let's take a look at your actual waveform here for a second. You, my friend, might want to go back in and just revisit your bus compression. Stuff feels a little messy. It feels a little unruly. Like you can hear the compressor surging. And I think just doing things like you know how I know you know how to mix. Quit being lazy. Stop it. Do the work. Take the time. Set up the buses. Compress things in groups. Do it properly. Stage things. And I think you'll avoid a lot of these issues that you're running into with this one. I mean, you've had the pleasure of watching me work several times. It really is just a matter of, I want these instruments to be this volume, I want these instruments to be this volume, I want this to be this volume, and then making them cohesive. I think you can probably revisit that. Only other thing was, there was one section, I don't remember where it was. Find it real quick. Okay, this. Since it's apparently my favorite word today, this can develop a little faster. I think this entire section right here can get cut because you repeat it again, but more interesting over here. And I don't think you're gonna suffer from losing those that 10 seconds there. Or even just like cutting this part right here. I think you can do without these 8 bars here, because like if I take this out and just it still flows the same, but it's more interesting and you're moving along a little bit quicker. And then when you get to this section, you've got your build, like you've done your 8 bars of like, here's new concept. All right, let's go to the next thing. Here's your build. Whereas previously it just drags a little bit when it does it twice. So you can probably, you can probably nip that little chunk out. But that, again, I'm looking specifically for things to point out about y'all's tracks. So if you like how it is, by all means, don't go through hoops trying to change it. I think that's about all I got for you on that one. A lot of these are just, today have been mixes. Take the time to learn the fundamentals, execute them, do them, use them. They are fundamental for a reason. There are things in mixing, and people will argue with me until the cows come home. There are aspects of mixing that are subjective and steps that need to happen. And those allow you to do creative things. And I think this is a good demonstration of just some of the fundamentals being overlooked. And I think revisiting those and breaking it down, make your process simpler, go back to the basics, and you'll have a much better track on your hands here. Without further ado, though, we're moving on to the next one. which is, and I'm gonna go ahead and close this queue real quick so that nobody else submits, because I don't have a whole lot of staying power left, and I still have a couple tracks to get through. So we're gonna go ahead. If anybody who did submit, you'll make it in. I'm just not taking any new ones because there were a couple that trickled in during the stream. We did that one. We have up next Pressure by Sayu. I don't know. Okay, we're out the game. I like that lead. Okay, that was cool. This whole first section here is the epitome of an idea and a motif executed perfectly. The whole front half of that track was phenomenal. Oh, there's a secret ending. Did I miss something? Oh, there is a secret ending. Oh, that's cool. I love when people do that. Considering you're building off that one vocal, I feel like 5 minutes is too long to keep a listener latched onto this concept. Or, optionally, these two drops feel very different from each other. This, through the first half of the track, it feels like everything was executed perfectly. The motif was followed, the idea was followed, and it was executed in new, interesting ways throughout the entirety of that section. I don't know how to make it make sense, but was it intentional for the second half of the track to feel slower? Or was that just a product of the composition? Because through here, like, this is very like I'm very bouncing along. It feels like it lost the plot a little bit through here. If you're gonna do this like bass house switch up here, I would love to hear something like shuffle hats or some perk layers or something of a higher pace to keep everything driving forward, as opposed to like, I don't know how to, like, through here your hi-hats are kind of matching what's going on. It's like it's like galloping to the next thing. And I do think I like the slowed idea. I think it's just not done being fully executed. I think you should keep it, and I think you should revisit how to slow down some of the instrumentation and speed up some other aspects to keep it moving at that same pace. But I'm critiquing shit for the sake of critiquing shit, so please also take that in mind. But yeah, shuffle hats would be really cool through here. All in all, maybe a section or two of this that doesn't quite hit as well could get cut just to bring that time limit down a little bit. But overall, it's a really well executed idea. The other thing I have, the slow section was the big one I wanted to touch on. As somebody that does weird shit for artistic purposes, I think it's cool. I think you should keep it. I just think that you should sit with it and find a way to make it feel the same way the first half of the track did. Because there's a way to pull that off. I feel like there's just a piece or two missing, maybe. And unfortunately, I don't know what that would be to suggest to do that. That's going to come down to you. But that's neat. I think you should keep that, and I think you should lean into it. The only other thing that really stood out to me was reverbs feel a little out of control through a lot of this. And I honestly think you can genuinely just go in and sidechain your reverbs to whatever your main elements are, and you'll free up a shit ton of space. Like, here, I'll do a demo. Fuck it. Give me like a random sample. That's a rim shot. Give me like, I'm not going to, I'll get with me afterwards and I'll go over it. And I don't want to do it while I'm doing the stream, but yeah, I would take some of your less important reverb layers and just sidechain them to some of your main elements, and that will do wonders to clean up your mix a lot. Don't go too crazy with it, but literally like just a small couple dB nudge down does wonders for letting things stand on different podiums almost of loudness, while still maintaining that tonal texture and kind of sound bed to lay on. Other than that, though, that's about all I have. This was cool. I liked this. This is something that would make it onto my own playlists. It's a really, really neat idea, and I love stuff that does things like this. Moving on. Let's see. Oh, we got a K-pop Demon Hunters remix in here coming up. We are moving on to Angel Tech, and this is actually a release track already, I believe. So I guess we'll take that into consideration when we're listening to it, because there's not really any changes that can be done here, but I have no problem showcasing cool artists. So let's go ahead and throw that on. Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, that was cool. I like that. Little cut there. Okay, out of the gate, did you have a hard time balancing your sub in this? Like when you were doing your overall mix down? Because it sounds, and I think I know why. It sounds like the sub was pushed a lot harder than it needed to be in order to compete with. There's a lot of reverb layers and there's a couple bass layers where it doesn't sound like they were EQ'd after they were reverbed. And they're clashing a little bit, and it does make for a lot of headphone pressure. Which is, if what you're going for, you've hit perfectly. It felt a little messy, but again, I'm literally like scrambling looking for things to talk about here. It wasn't the bass reverbs. It's specifically the snare. It feels like there's a bunch of it's a couple of the drum elements. And I also, keep in mind, have been doing feedback at decent volume for almost 2 hours now, so my ears are starting to go a little bit. That's why I've gone and closed off the queue. But there's definitely something that has a reverb on it that was not controlled. And that's like all I got. I don't know, there's not a whole lot that I can dissect here. This is pretty cool and I fuck with it. I would just, it's hard to give feedback on a release track because I know there's nothing that you can go back and change at this point. So I'm trying to think of what I could say to keep in mind going into your next track, which just keep making cool shit. This was dope. No reverb on anything outside of the vocal, which is gated. Weird. I wonder what I'm hearing then. Maybe it's just how the sub's interacting with your limiter. Either way, fucking sweet. Great bootleg. Especially that vocal in particular being so prominent across so many different genres, and so it's always fun hearing different takes on the heads will roll vocal. It could be that. I don't, at this point I'm too tired to properly dissect what I'm hearing, so if I get the chance I'll go back later and see if I can come up with what I'm trying to say and shoot you a DM. But overall, this is cool. I fuck with this. Like I said earlier, I like schizophrenic music, and it always makes me feel good. So job well done. I'm not gonna spend as much time on this one just because it's already a release track. Oh hey, look, a fox. Wrong button. I don't know. I'd have to like actually sit down and look through things because there's something that I'm hearing, but I don't know what it is, and I don't want to definitively say it and speak incorrectly. I don't like to talk unless I know exactly what I'm saying, and in this situation, I do not. It might honestly just be SoundCloud fucking with my head because I don't listen to a lot of music on there. And I know I hate the way that stuff sounds on SoundCloud, so it might just be that. SoundCloud's got like a weird uncanny valley feeling to like half of the songs on there just because of how they do their compression and shit. Moving on. We have a track from an artist and actually two of them, and I'll play them back to back, and then I'll finish off with the K-pop Demon Hunters because I'm a fucking weeb and I love cool shit. And that whole soundtrack was absolutely incredible, so we'll end on that. We got two tracks coming in from Watch for Rain, who also goes by Osha, who also goes by War. God, can you tell I've been streaming for a minute? Really cool guy. I really love what he's been doing. I might actually take you up on that, Angel, because I do genuinely want to like sit there and go through that when I'm in a better headspace and with less like pressure to perform in front of an audience. That would be a cool one to revisit in my own time. But moving on, we have War, who I genuinely really like what he's been doing lately. I've not found another artist that makes what he makes, and it's just been really fucking cool to watch them figure out their style.
Looking up at the
So
sky,
without further ado,
all the places and times that you were there. Looking up at the skyline, all the places and times that you were there. Why?
Buddy, you don't miss. Like every time you send me something and I listen to it, I just get taken to like a cool little world to go sit in for a couple minutes, and it always feels so nice. Like I honestly feel like you're at a point with your tracks where I don't know how to give you feedback because I've never heard shit like what you make before, and it's so cool to watch. Like genuinely, like you're definitely somebody in the scene right now that has just carved their own style, and it's such a pleasure to listen to every single time. Um, Going into like technical shit, there are a couple DC offsets. It looks like you've maybe forgotten to drop an EQ after processing in a couple spots. Like you can see through these quieter sections where the kicks aren't hitting. You can see you've got some low-end artifacts going on there, and it looks like they're mostly coming from the vocal. Just make sure you're conscious of those, because they will nuke your. They'll cause problems with some of your sub-frequencies, and they're really pesky and really annoying. Just always making sure that if you're high passing and then processing and then high passing and processing and high passing and then processing, you put that final high pass on there just to keep those processing artifacts out, because they will cause you problems. And then personal taste, I would drop the sub just a little bit, and then rebalance around that just to keep it from overwhelming your mastering processing. But other than that, like I genuinely don't know how to critique your tracks because they're just fucking cool. And this is in a little bit more of your older style, which I'm really excited for this. I've not heard this yet, and I know that you just switched up to just blowing the shit out of tracks, and it sounds really cool, and I'm really excited to listen to this, I'm not gonna lie. And we have another Stay remix. I just watched my audio clip hard as shit. I don't agree with you on that. Buddy. What the fuck? I want to. You better send this to me when it's done, because I'm gonna have it on repeat for days. In my opinion, if you're gonna clip a track, this is a masterclass on how to do it. This is a great demonstration of everything is clipped to shit, but not everything is clipped to shit. And I think that this is a great way to end this feedback session. I mean, I have one more after this, but I'm glad that this is at the end. In my opinion, that is clipping done well. And there's definitely like aspects of it that I could critique, but I know you're still working on this, and I'd actually rather circle back with you and go over the finished version, so that I don't sway the direction that you're going in, because you have something really special here. I think when you go back through and you sit down and do your mix, it'd be nice to hear a little more mid-range in that vocal, but you also have that lead going on, so I don't know how you would necessarily balance that. So you may just be kind of stuck with it being a higher register vocal, which doesn't sound bad. It's just different. I know you mentioned that drop one goes on for a bit. I think ending around here. You can message Newt and he has it. Which is actually, I will get him to drop it into the contest info, because you're not the first person to ask for it. And we'll make sure that everybody gets that, because I agree you guys would be able to do a lot more with a dry vocal, especially with some of the directions y'all have gone in. As far as your drop one going on, I feel like you could probably call it here and not lose much on your idea. If you wanted to shorten that section. You brought a fucking saxophone to the feedback session, bro? If you're gonna do this, don't be scared to make it loud and sidechain everything else to it. I think it'd be really cool. It would add a ton of movement. Like really lean into the brass part of that section, because that was, I don't know how else to explain it other than like walking down, like it's got a very like LA noir, I just like got backed up on a case and now I need to go smoke a cigarette while I ponder my thoughts in this like dark and broody way. Like really cement that and lean into that feeling, because that, as soon as I heard that, I was like, what the fuck? Hell yeah. And then the only other thing that I really stood out to me, because again, I don't want to send you too far off what your idea is here. Just a couple of these stutters I feel like could be tightened up just a little bit. Just making hyper sure that the timings are actually hitting on your 1, 2, 3, or 4, or the like micro beats between them. I feel like 1 or 2 of them kind of got off a little bit, like through here specifically. Which I'm sure is not going to be a difficult fix for you, and like you said, you're already aware of it, and you made this at 4 in the morning, so I'm taking that into account. But dude, if you don't place, I'm gonna riot. I'm gonna be real. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for sending that. That was dope. I love your stuff, man. So much. And without further ado, for the 9th time this stream, we'll go on to our final track here, which I think looks like another release track. And we have a K-pop Demon Hunters remix, and I'm just gonna play this out and showcase this artist, because I don't think there's really anything that feedback's gonna do for them. but we'll just end the stream on whatever this is, and I'll say my wrap up, and then I'll start working on editing the oh god, my brain is slow today. Working getting the whole like big feedback video together for y'all, and then getting that posted. But
You came at a bad time, but you just crossed the line. You wanna get wild? Okay, I'll show you wild. Better come right, better let grind, get into a level. Cause you might die, look at the time, trying to start a battle. Bleeding isn't in my blood, there's a puta de la soul. Bleeding you is what I do, yeah. Body, I'm naughty, but sorry. And when you pull up, I pull up a little late to the party. La, I can know that I was born for this. There ain't no one in avoiding it. I know it. Logging you out like a lullaby. Hear the sound ringing in your mind. Better sit down for the show, cause I'm gonna show you how it's done. We run the town.
alright, this is cool. This is just cool.
It's going down. How it's done. Something about when you come from the top, so humble and high. You bring it up, but good you ain't easy, I'm poking it way. Nothing to us. One of you done it, we come up from sun up to sun, so come out to take. One in a way, we one in a million, we kill every really you wanted to take. Heels, nails, blade, mascara. Fit check for my neck pump error. Need to beat my face, make it cute and savage. Mirror on my phone, who's the baddest? Hello? Knocking you out like a lullaby. Hear that sound ringing in your mind. Better sit down for the show, cause I'm gonna show you how it's done. I'll talk, put a bite, pull a venom. Spit sex, you know best how it's done. I'm cool like I know I'm Rambo. Always with my words, I go Rambo. Put in kiss like that. This is how it's done. Hear our voice are wavering. Till our songs are
This fucks.
make it fear afraid to breathe. Feel the dark beside. How it's done. We run the town. When turning up is going down. How it's done. We hunt you down.
God, that sub is really nice too. Man, that was a good one to end the stream on. That was just done well. I was too busy actually just sitting here enjoying that to like pay attention for stuff to give criticism on. That fucked. I'm such a that whole soundtrack is so good. I have it on vinyl. Like I've been waiting for somebody to do a K-pop Demon Hunters remix, and it was everything that I hoped that it would be, and that was great. Job well done. Pat yourself on the back. There's a couple things I could point out, but some of them can also be chalked up to YouTube compression, so I'm not even going to try. Job well done. That fucked. I need to sign in and go follow you, because that was cool. Yep. Subscribe. Cool. Thanks. Yeah, that was fucking dope. Who was that? Get out of here. Who's here? Oh, I have streamer mode on right now. Well, won't tell me. Actually, I can just look. Noxikova. Not a name I've heard, but fuck. That was good. Alright, I am exhausted. This was a ton of fun, but it is definitely a lot of work, and it's very scary getting up here and critiquing y'all's hard work and art, and it's a lot of pressure to be in this chair. And I think I have about reached my limit of what I can handle in one session. My ears are ringing. I'm a little foggy, so I'm gonna bop out here. But to everybody that submitted something, thank you so much. This was a great stream. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I was able to give you something valuable back. Because that is the reason that I wanted to do these, was just to get into the nitty-gritty with you guys and try to help as much as I can with the stuff that you guys are working on. Fucking phenomenal work, all of you. I have nothing but nice things to say about all of you guys. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna eat and like be a person for a little bit. But if anybody has any questions about their tracks or anything, you can shoot me a message. I can elaborate on stuff. I'll have the VOD up here pretty soon on the Mithril channel, and I'll try to do timestamps for everybody. That way, if you missed the stream, we can still get you your feedback. But without further ado, thank you for coming to Mithril's first feedback stream. I hope it didn't drag too much. If by all means, feel free to critique my hosting. But y'all have a great day. I'm gonna jump out, and I will see you guys around, I am sure. And we will hopefully do another one of these very, very soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. If you're not already, just so I can plug something to say I did my job, here you go. Here's our Mithril Selects playlist. Highly recommend checking it out. Pretty sure all of it is stream friendly. Should be. It's all great shit. If you need something to throw on the background while you're doing something, you're not only listening to cool artists, but you're also supporting all of the other artists that you're hanging out with at Mithril. And I think that's pretty cool. Everybody kind of propping each other up a little bit. But on that note, this has been Feedback Stream, and I am Jessel the Archivist, and I'm going to go ahead and tap out. Y'all have a wonderful day.